All right, and I'm about to start the intro in 3, 2, 1.
First time in my life, I know exactly who I am.
Hey guys, we are back with episode 4 of the Mayfair Witches. We got some more family members. Stuff popped off. Carlotta can't win. So I am, of course, joined by co-host King. What's up?
Hey, it got real. It got real.
It got real. So King, if you can give us the lowdown and we can like review at the same time what is happening here. Like
So like it starts basically well, it starts with this very saucy dream that Rowan is having about Sip. Where we're both like, is she dreaming? Is this real or is she dreaming? What's happening here? Because he ain't got no gloves on, but you know, they're very
he's
close.
in the moment. Yep. He's in the moment.
A giving host to his house guest. But then we realize that it's a dream. She wakes up, she goes out, he is making breakfast, which I don't know about you, Nat, but for me, when a man can cook,
I was already feeling him and I'm like, ooh, you can cook too?
You're like, I already loved you and now you're cooking. This will do nothing. This will do absolutely nothing for these dreams I'm having because now you can cook and I'm thoroughly in love. But also, I don't know if you've ever had like the weird romance dream about a friend that you have absolutely no interest in otherwise, but then like you see them and they're like, why are you being weird? Like,
yeah.
not weird. So it feels like she kind of comes out like that, like, hey, you know.
Like, can you tell? Can you tell, even though you're not touching me, that I had a dream about you last night? Like that kind of dream,
right? And then he kind of breaks the ice by being like, I had some very weird dreams last night. So I wonder if they both were dreaming the same dream.
It's interesting because he did mention the necklace later. So I'm like, yeah, what kind of dream were you having, sir?
Right. Deets. Fill me in on the deets. So he makes her breakfast and she's like, I love poached eggs. And he's like, I know. I saw all your thoughts. Just kidding. But that is like for real creepy. Like, I read your mind and now I know everything you like. Everything. So then she, she's just like, okay, well, I just need a couple of hours to not think about it being her birth mother's funeral. And she asks if he will go with her, and he volunteers to accompany her. They flash over to Cortland, who is in his, I guess, parlor, and he's got some kind of IV drip thing happening. And now I'm wondering, like, is he sick, or is this some kind of weird elixir of youth thing that he's doing? Because he doesn't really look like he's aged too much.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I know what that is. I think you're on the right track, though.
So, Cortland's daughter, and I did write her name down, Josephine. She comes in and she's like, you got to get ready. Like, the service is happening soon. And we want to get there before Carlotta because we want to be able to make a good impression on you see him.
Yeah, he wanted to comment on the show too, so he's in the background. Like,
he's like, I couldn't see it, but I could hear it, and I've got theories. So yeah, she's like, we need to get there because we want to be able to make a good impression on our newly found cousin, Because if Carlotta gets there first, she's definitely going to fill her head up with a bunch of, lies about us. So we make it to the funeral service, where Rowan just kind of wants to hang out in the background. Like, she doesn't want to go up and see the body, but then, just be in the back. But as soon as she steps in that aisle, everybody turns around. The whispering starts. Like, this isn't rude at all, guys. And Carlotta is like, "Oh, hey, you came. Come on up." So she takes her up to see the body. Actually, before that, Cortland goes up to see Deirdre's body, and he takes something out of his pocket. Like, number one, again, keeping with this creepy man theme, he like unbuttons her shirt. Like, no, baby, I know you dead, but you still need to show a little cleavage. So he unbuttons her shirt a little bit to show off a little décolletage, and then he like puts something like a little handkerchief, like tucks it in her shirt, and he's like, now you're pretty as ever. And then he like does a little look around again and takes something else out of his pocket. I'm like, how much stuff is this man gonna like stuff in her dress with? But he wants to take something, so he snips off a lock of her hair. Not weird at all. And so, like, then Deirdre comes up. She's like very shocked. I don't know why she's shocked, but just like shocked to see her dead birth mother, who she never actually had the opportunity to meet, laying there. And then they call up the family to like stand around the body. And then all of a sudden the doors swing open. There's this bright light. And then all of these rose petals just start fluttering in the room. Which, that's as far as in my book, as far as Lasher is concerned, that's a flex. Like, even in death, showering my love with rose petals and love or whatever. And then that was like weird because like the kids are like giggling and trying to snatch the rose petals, and Carlotta is trying to like pick the rose petals up off of Deirdre's body because she wants the women in her family to have absolutely nothing to do with Lasher. So even though Deirdre's dead, it's just like, no, not even these rose petals can touch you. We also see the aunties go downstairs to check on Delphine, who has not fared well, basically bashed her own head in and died. And then Carlotta like puts on the house cleaning yellow rubber gloves and goes to retrieve the necklace off of Delphine, and it's gone. So Delphine died for nothing.
Justice for Delphine at this point. Like, I'm just not happy.
It's tragic, and it's some kind of social commentary about Black women taking the brunt of blah blah blah. Like, there's something there. I don't have the mental bandwidth to to make the connection, but yeah. So they get to the burial site, and actually, let's take a step back. When Cortland was in his parlor with his IV drip and Josephine, I still don't do with Deirdre's death, but of course, kind of keep up appearances. So he's like, I hope they find the guy that did it. Like, and Josephine says they might not find him, but he's still being punished. And so from that, I guess we can glean that Josephine has like the gift of sight, like the Eye of Thundera. Like, he's got sight beyond, she's got sight beyond sight, where she sees something else is like she sees what's happening with this guy. And so we see this man that we've never seen before, no clue who he is, but he is running frantically through a parking lot. He's clearly in some kind of distress, and he tries to throw himself off of the edge of the parking garage, but two men like jump out and hold him down. And so at the funeral, Cyprian gets a call saying, "We think we got the killer. We need you to come down here, take off your glove, do your touch thing, see what's happening." So Cyprian tells Rowan, "I will take you back to the spot, and then I'll go." And she's like, "No, I want to see this finished. I want to see her laid to rest. You go, I'll be fine." And so this is when, he leaves, and we see other family members kind of scoping her out. One very excited younger family member definitely wants to talk to her, but but her mom is just like, "No, now is not the time. Don't be with your holier than thou stuff." And so she gets buried or put in the tomb, because they don't bury people in New Orleans. And then we see that same younger girl who was eager to speak with Rowan. She goes to put her gift flowers offering down, and there's this weird guy in the bushes taking pictures, and now we're like, who the hell is he? Because there's all these people that we have not seen before that are just popping up, and who is he? Why is he specifically taking pictures of this young girl? Because it didn't seem like he was taking pictures of Rowan or anybody else. It was like he really kind of focused in on her, unless he's a photographer that just notices beauty all around him.
Well, hold the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the coroner?
What? You know what?
It literally just popped into my head. I'm like, that looked like the coroner now that I think about it.
Maybe it was the coroner, because he is part of that weird
cult thing that are fascinated with the Mayfairs.
Yeah. So maybe, okay, sure, we'll go with that. And so then one of the aunts invites Rowan to come back to the house because they're going to have a small gathering. We also find out that none of the other immediate family members have been invited to, so Cortland and Josephine, none of them are actually invited to this repast that's happening at the house, because Carlotta don't like them. So we see, so Rowan does decide to go back to the house, because Carlotta has promised, there's some things of your mother's that I feel like you should have. And so I was thinking she was speaking of Deirdre, but she was actually talking about Rowan's adopted mother. And so she starts handing her pictures of her adopted mother. It's just like, wait, but that kind of makes sense, because why, this woman that I met for the briefest of seconds while she was still kind of alive, why would I her stuff?
You kind of,
but seeing memories. Oh, sorry.
You kind of
Am I good now?
Okay. Yeah, you're good. Oh, well, okay.
Okay. Weird.
You're fine now.
I was saying, yeah, okay. It's weird. I think a temperature thing popped up at the bottom, and as soon as I clicked on that, another little window opened up, and I guess I can't I can do nothing else while I'm up here. It just has to be this. Don't touch anything else. Got it. I was saying that it would make sense that Carlotta would think that Rowan would be more interested in getting pictures of her adopted mom, because this is the woman that she's known as mom, and it would be neat to see her younger and where she grew up and all of that kind of stuff. And so she finds out that adopted mom, whose name I can't remember right now, is I could probably look back through my notes, but I'm not gonna. Um,
I don't think I ever wrote her name down, unfortunately, because I just knew her. She was Rowan's mom. That's I just knew that as Rowan's adoptive mom. That's. I want to say her name also started with a C, and because we've been talking about Carlotta, I feel like I'm merging that name with hers, and yeah.
yeah, in my mind, she's Carlotta. Let's see, Ellie.
Okay. Okay, that sounds about right, actually.
Yeah. Um, so we find out that Ellie is a part of, she's a blood relative. Um, and then that's when Rowan finds out, like, because she's like, somebody lied and told everybody I was dead, because she also sees her name on a gravestone at
Right.
the graveyard. It's just she's like, this explains why everybody's being so weird to me, like they've seen a ghost, because they all thought I was dead. And Carlotta's like, oh no, they're seeing a miracle, they're so happy. And then Carlotta also kind of fesses up, like, yo, it was me. I was the one who sent you away and told everybody you were dead, because the women in this family do not have good luck with life. So I wanted you away from that. And then she lies and says, Deirdre wanted that for you too, which she absolutely did not. But she's like, she wanted you to, like, have this moment to be away from. And then Rowan is like, cut the moo poo, lady. Him. We're all talking about him. You wanted me to be away from him. And she's like, good. So glad you know about him. Also, why are they talking about him like he's Voldemort? Like,
just say the man's name. Like, it's not that.
yeah. And it's not like he can only come around if you say his name. This man has been popping up everywhere.
Everywhere.
Invited, uninvited, unsolicited, unbeknownst. Like, just go ahead and say his name.
Yeah.
But and this is where I feel like Carlotta was right, where she's like, we need to empower you with as much knowledge as possible, because this way you can make your own informed decision and protect yourself. Which I thought was, that was like the one real thing that she said.
Right.
And then she's also like, we're having dinner tonight if you want to stay. And as they're having this conversation, all of a sudden it's like you hear like all this chatter and stuff happening in the background. And it's Cortland who has, even though he wasn't invited, he comes in and he's like, let the party begin. It is a repast, sir. It is a repast. But I understand that in New Orleans, like, funeral culture is a little bit different. It really is a celebration of life more than, like, this mourning thing. Which we didn't talk about the flashback at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Where they're at the funeral for Mama Midwife, and Susan is just about to, do her thing, falling into the casket and take me with you. And one of their other sisterin comes up and is like, save your tears. We're going to do that later. This is the formal funeral, but we're going to have our own thing later. And she's like, put in a cloak and led through the woods under the cover of night. And she's like, where are we going? And she's like, no, just follow me, which I will never do. Like,
there's too many people doing too much for me to be like following them, taking their drinks, like eating anything they put out. Like, I'm just sorry. There's just too much stuff going on.
Absolutely no. So then we see that, I guess these were like probably the first Mayfair witches. Like, they have their own ritual ceremony thing where, basically this is where they just dance and cry and get all of their mourning out, which was very different to see. But, we all grieve in different ways. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah, it just kind of brings me back to this, where you know, the mom, no, not the mom, the aunt Carlotta, she wanted to have like this very formal, proper going home ceremony, and between Lasher and Cortland, they're both like, nah, it's a party. So rose petals, and then Cortland comes in with bottles and like his own entourage, and he's like, thanks for the invite, sis, we're gonna party. And so Carlotta kind of has to cut that conversation with Rowan short to like make sure these folks ain't gonna trash the house. Yeah, so
Speaking of
Cyprian,
house.
yeah, right. Cyprian gets to the place where the suspected killer is being held, and that killer fella, he is in like a tortured state where he's just like his body is moving unnaturally, and he's like convulsing, and he just seems like he's in the greatest of pain. And Cyprian is, trying to be, I don't know, the tortured guy whisperer, like, hey, it's okay. Nobody here is gonna hurt you. I'm gonna take off my glove. Gonna see some things. I kind of wish they would have let us see what he saw when he touched the guy, instead of giving us like a 10-second close up of Cyprian's concerned eyebrows, like, oh, this is bad. Okay. So we see that, and then he basically says this guy is he's a professional hitman. He was hired to kill Deirdre. And then they're like, well, do we know by who? Can you touch him again and see something else? And when Cyprian goes to touch him again, all of a sudden the guy starts jerking around extra hard, and his neck breaks. And so then it's like, what the hell just happened here? So Cyprian touches him again, and as Cyprian is touching him, we see Lasher kind of rise up out of this guy and walk off, like like eh.
like nothing to it.
Right.
That scene was interesting to me because it was obvious that this dude was on a time crunch. Like, it was a matter of moments probably that he was gonna croak. It was
Right.
just a matter of how.
Mm-hmm.
And poor man's neck snapped. And I feel like that was Lasher, but go on. We find out some info on that makes it even more mysterious.
I was shocked the way his neck just, and I was like, wait, what just happened? So, well, wait, what information did we find out? Because I don't think I wrote that down.
We found out that it seems like he was hired. Like, I think you mentioned that, but there's a supernatural element to it other than Lasher. Like, who hired the hitman in the first place? I didn't even realize that they mentioned that someone went into the elevator with her, but I didn't think I thought she was by herself all the way up until she saw Deirdre, and then her neck just, like, it mysteriously cut open, not him go in, cut it, and and it's a delayed reaction when she gets up there. Unless it was just like really like a floor difference. I don't know. So so throughout last week's episode, I was like, wait, when did a dude have time to get in there?
Like, it's like, is there like a special way? Because for that to happen, he would have to time it so that, okay, it's about to stop on, like, say, so we know that Rowan was on the 10th floor. So right. Like, okay, we're about to get to the 9th floor, prop her up, jump out, make sure the door closes real quick so that she then gets up to 10 and everything happens in perfect timing. I mean, there has to be some kind of supernatural component, because, I mean, also we're overthinking just dramatic effect, but yeah. But yeah, Cyprian does tell his higher up, like, no, there's something else. There's another supernatural component happening because the elevators were wiped clean. who would do that? Like, who did that? And instead of being like, that is a great observation, I think you should look into that more, his boss was like, weird. Oh, well, case closed. You should go watch after Rowan. Don't worry about any of this. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, not suspicious at all.
And so then Cyprian is like, that didn't seem weird, but just in case, I'm going to go on over to our little storage facility, our archives, and see what I can dig up about this family, because all of this is odd. So back at the house, Rowan is like, she's come out. She's about to start, like, hobnobbing, meeting family. This scene kind of tickled me, because if you've ever been around like older Southern women, like, they want to come up to you. They want to be as sweet as possible, but they're also trying to like dig for information. And so it's like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Me and my husband had been in San Francisco. Had we known you were alive, we could have gotten to meet you. And then Rowan just volunteers. Yeah, it was Carlotta. She lied. Like, Carlotta lied? How did you know? Like, she told me. She told you. Like,
she was honest about that? She wasn't trying to be manipulative?
Right.
Oh,
like,
what?
You just know. She's like, I cannot wait to break away from this so that I can go over there and tell everybody the tea that I just heard.
Right.
And then the younger Mayfair, who's like just been chomping at the bit, like, I just really want to meet her, and her mom has been trying to keep her at bay. She's just like, it's just so nice to meet you. It's so nice to meet a Mayfair woman. Like, you're a neurosurgeon. You do all of these great things. I've been researching you. And they kind of bring back up like the news story that we were hearing in the background before Rowan had come to New Orleans about women just being found burned up. And the little cousin is like really trying to put the information out there, but the mom is like, no, we don't talk about Bruno. Stop it.
Talk about Bruno.
And so, but then the little cousin is also like, I just think it's so cool that we have someone like you who's so independent and so successful that's now going to be a designee. And she's like, a designee? What is that? And so that's when Josephine is like, come with me. And we find out, which this is like a bigger mystery thing happening here, because Rowan is like, I saw you last night. And Josephine like tenses up for a second, like, no, you didn't. Like, I saw you at the funeral procession. And she's like, yeah, that's where you saw me at. Like, that's where you saw me from.
Wait, it was the lady that gave her the drink?
No. So just before the lady that gave her the drink, there was like a lady that was standing in the background. She had on a shimmery top, and Rowan looks at her. They make eye contact. They smile at each other, do a little head nod, and then they look back. And I thought that was weird.
Okay.
Like, one thing we should keep in mind about this show is there's no like just random coincidental, like, if something happens and they make a point to focus in on it, that is important for something. And so now we find out that Rowan and Josephine were at the same place. So maybe it was Josephine that was the one who orchestrated having the woman come over with the roofie shots to get Rowan off of her game. So,
I mean, because she seems to be with Cortland as far as how they see Lasher. So Carlotta's right about that.
Yeah, they both see him as like a blessing, like a gift to the family. And I keep forgetting his. And he moves so quietly until he doesn't. Yeah, so Josephine is now taking Rowan around the room, kind of like in Harry Potter, where they go to Sirius Black's house and you see like all of the family members on a portrait on the wall. So all of the designees are, they all have their portraits with the exception of Deirdre. And I do like that, like you pointed out, like we do see uh, all of the designees, all of the Mayfair women of different like races and shades. So like, some are Dutch, and then we find out some are Haitian. But like they're all incorporated on this wall. Well, all like there's a lot. There's 11 of them, I think, on the wall, and then Deirdre would have been the 12th. So in this, we find out that Deirdre was actually the owner of the house. It was not Carlotta. Carlotta just wants everybody to think that she's the one in charge. But this designee title is something that is inherited. It's kind of like in a will or whatever. It's handed down from daughter to daughter. It's been happening for the last 300 years, where a Mayfair woman makes sure that her daughter gets something. And then another line I thought was interesting was when Josephine was like, and so now you can pass this down to your daughter when you're ready. And Rowan is like, I'm not having a kid. And she's like, yeah, we'll see. Like, drink this. We'll see.
That was, yeah. Well, partially because of what they're trying to do with Lasher or what have you. They seem to have a habit of trying to make people pregnant when they're not trying to be pregnant, and just trying to just live their best life. So it's not surprising for that, as well as okay. Yeah, keep going.
So they talk about the inheritance, and then like you look in all of the pictures of the designees, and they each all have on that heart key necklace thing that is now lost because Carlotta thought she could like bind Lasher to poor Delphine, and that did not work.
I'm always going to be bitter about that.
Always. So Cortland is like rummaging through all the drawers and stuff at the house. I guess he's trying to find the necklace, or maybe he's just.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll say maybe he's just trying to find whatever he can. Like, I'm in the house. Let me just see what I can get right now, because I might not get to come back in here again after this.
I feel like he was looking for the necklace, and I feel like maybe he was looking for the necklace at the funeral too. Because why else try and open up? Because that's where you would think a necklace would go. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that he will look there and then like take a piece of her hair. I think that, of course, it's creepy, but something tells me that's a weird tradition too.
Yeah. And I do remember like back in that flashback when Deirdre had gone to his house, and the first thing he did was like reach between her boobies and grab her the necklace, like, oh, you're wearing the necklace. Good. That's nice. Like, that's weird. My uncles would never, but okay.
Yeah.
So he's searching for the necklace. He doesn't find it, but in one of the drawers, he does find his father's old pipe. So he takes that and is just like, this is mine. He steps outside to have a smoke as he thinks he's, I don't know, not so subtly, I guess, like he's creeping by the door where Rowan is standing. They kind of have a real quick glance, and then he goes outside. She follows and, cautions him on the dangers of smoking. And then he starts to tell her the history behind the pipe. This was my dad's pipe. My dad also, told me one day this would all be mine, but I ain't ish. I ain't never going to be ish. I'm going to squander it all. But look who's laughing now, Daddy. My name's on the mantle. He also reveals to us that, again, the house is Deirdre's. Now it's legally Rowan's. And Carlotta put him out. Let's see. Yeah. And then they start talking about Lasher. He's like, because Rowan is basically like, I don't think I want this house. And he's like, give it some time to think about it. Go through the house. Like you're inheriting a house and you're inheriting all these gifts. And then once again, she's like, you mean him? And he's like, yeah, he's a gift. And he's actually more of a servant than he is, like he serves you, you don't serve him. And she's like, how so? But as they're having this conversation, Carlotta comes out, and this is where they kind of get into like a typical sibling argument of, it's your fault she's dead. It's not my fault she's dead. I did everything I could. Where were you? And I'm in here bathing her and taking care of her and making sure she's still breathing. And he's like, well, this wouldn't have been a problem if you weren't, just back and forth about who is the better person, who is the better sibling. Also, Carlotta wants to gift Rowan Deirdre's rosary. And she's like, here, take this. And clearly, Rowan is more than likely, at the very least, agnostic. But we know she's not going to church at all. And so
considering the life that she living up in San Francisco, with the bar and everything, yeah, she ain't going to church anytime soon.
I have seen and probably still know people who will party it up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, get home, take a quick power nap, take a shower. They're still in church on Sunday, and then they might leave church and still go to bottomless mimosas afterwards. But
very true. Very true.
She just does not seem like she believes in religion at all. So this rosary, she's like, no, I can't take that. I don't want that. But, Carlotta is insistent and just like puts it on her like, no, this will protect you. And as she's saying that, Cortland is in the background like, oh my God, protection. He's a gift. He's a gift, Carlotta. Protect. And that's how the argument started. Like, protect her like it protected Deirdre, because that ain't happened.
Right. And then Carlotta got, how some people get when things are not going their way. So then they try and be like, oh, I just need to sit down.
I got this baby.
Help me. Oh.
But what was so great about that scene is like, she's getting all worked up and stuff and like, oh, I'm just so frazzled. And Rowan is like, okay, you need to sit down. And she's like, I'm just so frazzled. But then she turns and looks at Cortland. She's like, huh. And then goes back to frazzled, like, you mother. So, basically it's like, all right, everybody, party's over. So everybody dips out. And Carlotta's like, hey, you want to stay for dinner? So, we can talk. And Rowan is like, yeah, sure, I'd like that. So she decides to stay for dinner. So we also see Cyprian. He's at headquarters, I guess, looking through like all of the old historical documents and stuff that they have. The blind, I'm just going to call her librarian because I don't know what else her. I'm so glad you're getting your workout. The blind librarian, like, she senses him. I don't know if she smells the documents or something, but she's like, are you looking through the old Mayfair documents? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, Dutch or Haitian? Like, Dutch. Because I need to know everything I need to know so that I can put a stop to this. What I thought was interesting about that scene, I don't know if you noticed, like, Cyprian was very clear. The librarian was very clear. But then there was stuff happening in the background, but it was, like, really blurry. And it was, like, just one lady sitting at the table, but it was, like...
It was, like, vague. Like, it was like a blurred shot.
Yeah.
I think they sometimes do that just to give like a close up of the character and seeing their expressions and getting like some kind of intense scene, or it's like you're hinting at something more than what they're saying. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes I think it's just a shot decision by
Yeah.
the director, I'm assuming. Um,
I mean, because she was like, you're one of my favorites, so don't do anything to get yourself killed. Which,
yeah, but I did think it was interesting that she did say Haitian, considering he's black, and we do
mhm,
have black Mayfairs. I'm
yeah.
like, why say that, ma'am?
Does
Why
it
say
matter?
that?
Why does it
Why
matter?
does it matter? Do you know
But
something?
maybe
Do you know something?
it seems like she's been there for a minute. Like she can tell by the sound of the crinkle of the papers what files he's looking through. So okay. Um, so like that's happening, and then we see Rowan walking through the house. And the reason why I brought up the blurry background in the library while Cyprian is like holding the old Mayfair documents is because while Rowan is walking up the stairs, like there's like this flowered wallpaper, and it's like
Yeah,
it's doing a thing.
it's doing a swiggle thing. It's very similar to what we saw in the when they were at the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and Carlotta got upset, and the background had flowers, and it was like wiggly moving, and you hear voices in the background, kind of like they're trying to say a spell.
Yeah.
We have seen that intermittently, at least with Rowan when she's walking by herself, or just
Mm-hmm.
when she's kind of like investigating. Same thing, I think, even with Cyprian a little bit. But yeah, there's something other going on.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like the other members of the family are kind of like trying to push her towards Lasher, and they're, I guess, saying that it's whatever spell they need to in order for her to do what she needs to do.
Yeah, and like I'm wondering, and I'm sure you kind of know the answer to this because the books, but it seems like as long as one person in the family is bound to Lasher, the rest of the family still has like wealth and prosperity and maybe like, youth and all of that stuff. Like, so everybody in the family who like messes with Lasher, who supports it, he seems to bless them all in different ways. Like he gives them gifts, and um so they need somebody like there's a specific person who is designated to be bound to Lasher. We need her to be bound because if not, all of this is like over for us. So we gotta push her in the right direction.
Well, also the power thing too. I think who gets designated for Lasher is someone that's like powerful as far as being a witch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an element to it too that I think we haven't quite gotten there yet, as far as like why they're picking these particular set of women, and why these set of women have been bound to this dude with the key, even though Lasher does appear and offer himself to other women in the family. It's always a
Mm-hmm.
certain branch, like we said before, of women that, and the number 13. So
Yeah, yeah. And Carlotta did say when I was 8 years old, he offered himself to me. And I'm like, but
eight
how
years
though?
old.
But how what is the it's
Mm.
still just icky and weird and I don't like it and I see why she don't like him. But um so Rowan is like roaming through the house. She's hearing all of the whispers and the voices. There's stuff rippling in the background. The lights are flickering. She walks into Deirdre's old room and she's like looking around and then she sees the necklace um, nicely laid out on Deirdre's dressing table. And so immediately it's like, to hell with this rosary. This necklace got like has actual gemstones. This got some this is ice. So
Right. Like she was already like, it's like she dropped that rosary like a bad habit. Like she like she was
Oh.
like, ooh, let me put this necklace on and make me feel all good and stuff.
Yeah, it made me feel sexy. Like she ripped that bad boy off, put that necklace on, and then she's just sitting there caressing herself, which is weird. I like diamonds. I like shiny jewelry as much as the next person, but I don't know that I've ever worn something that has just made me do like a full body rub on myself. But
No, it's not that deep. Like if anything, I'll like go around, like feel the necklace around the neck, but not like ooh.
yeah, like, I feel sexy all over. So yeah, as she's having this moment, Colette like cracks the doors, like because she's coming in to be like, dinner's ready, or dinner's about to be ready, and there she is. She sees the rosary that she so kindly gifted to her great niece on the floor, and she's got the necklace on and like rubbing herself, and she's just sitting here like this heifer, like. Here we go again. I tried this with her horror mother. That didn't work. Now look at her sitting here acting on herself. So she's like, she just opens the door and she's like, hey, dinner finna be ready. Come on downstairs. Like whole different vibe about her now. And she Rowan does take the necklace off for a second. She takes a picture of it and she sends it to Cyprian, and she's like, hey, this was the necklace of my dreams. And so Cyprian like looks at that, and like he's also reading the journal of someone who was I guess maybe the husband or the fiance of one of the older Mayfair women, who was like, we're engaged to be married. I love her. She kind of loves me, but she's never going to fully love me until she takes off that damn necklace. Like, I don't know what hold it has over her, but like, it's a family obsession, and she's never going to love me as long as whatever that necklace ties her to is around. And so Cyprian is like, ooh, wait, where you at? And
right,
so
where you at?
because
you back to the place yet?
to leave the funeral and go back to my house. Why does it seem like you're not at my house? So he jumps up and like hot puts it over there. Carlotta has changed the plans for dinner. I think it was supposed to be like a bigger dinner thing with family and full service and all of that stuff. And instead she's like, just put the food on the table and then house servants, y'all can go. So
not suspicious at all.
Doesn't seem weird. And now this, like, they're both sitting at the ends of this long table, like something in an old Looney Tunes cartoon. Like there was one with it was Bugs Bunny and was it Yosemite Sam? And the table was so long, like it'd be like, can you pass the salt? And then they have to like run down to pass the salt and then run back to sit at the other end of the table. That's what that reminded me of. Like, why are y'all not sitting closer to each other at this long ass table? But they kind of start talking, and this is where it gets kind of deep because Carlotta, just out of nowhere, she's like, your mom? Pain in my ass from the moment she was born. And it's crazy because it's not even her daughter, it's her niece, but she's kind of taking care of her this whole time because her sister, her niece's mom, Deirdre's mom, was also swept up in the rapture of Lasher and was probably, not focused enough to actually take care of a baby. And she's like, okay, didn't work out for my sister, but I can for sure protect my niece from falling, to the same fate that my sister is falling to. Gonna do it. Gotta do it. So she's just like, she just screamed, and she was so rebellious. And now here you come in here wearing sneakers to a funeral and dropping my rosary dropping my rosary on the ground and putting on this necklace and rubbing yourself in your dead mother's room. I have had it. Evil dies tonight. And she she's like, I'm gonna pray this one last prayer for my little bratty niece, and then that's it. So she says this prayer. She lights some sage. She starts kind of, calling out all of the former designees' names and asking, the Lord to keep and protect them. And then she says Rowan's name, and Rowan is like, something seems amiss here. Something seems a little bit off, because this she seems like she's having a moment that I am not privy to. So that is when she just Carlotta takes the sage, which is like burning a lot, right? She takes the sage and she lights a tapestry on fire. So now Rowan is like, oh, it got real. Okay. She lights the tapestry on fire. She lights something else on fire. And now Rowan is trying to get out. Like, she's like yanking on the doors, but the doors are locked from the outside. Cyprian has gotten to the house. He's texting, but Rowan can't answer because she left her phone upstairs out of reach. So he jumps the fence, busts through the front door. Carlotta is really trying to, like, she's just like, if I can't save the next one, the bloodline is just going to end here. That's just it. So she's trying to burn the house down, and she's trying to burn the house down with her and Rowan in it. And when she sees that she's just not going to be able to just burn Rowan, she picks up a butcher knife. Rowan is like tugging on the doors and yelling to Cyprian to save her because the door is locked. And just as Cyprian kicks in the door, Rowan pivots and Cyprian gets shanked in the side. Another Black person, innocent Black person, being injured and harmed at the hands of this toxic ass family. I can't.
This woman in particular, like, she's a 2-for-0 here. Like, that needs to go.
But it's always in the fictional entertainment and in real life, it's always these super like holier than thou extremists that end up doing like the most sinful stuff, but they're always doing it like in the name of good. Like, so we sit here, we see like now Rowan is like holding up Sip because he got it to the gut. And Lasher appears behind Carlotta, and he's like, she already mine. Your hoe chose me. And then he he does a little smirk. He walks off. He locks the door, so she can't even, like, they're trying to run out and they can't even get out. And that's where we're left. But my gosh, so much.
So much can happen. There was, and that was the same room with the pictures of the designees, so those are getting burnt up.
They're all getting burned up.
And I'm like, burn you, Carlotta. Carlotta was on one this episode.
My goodness. And she was so cool. And so it was that rosary on the floor that just tipped her over the edge. And we've all had those moments where it's something so seemingly small, but it's just the last straw. It's the last straw. And so now you're like, no, I have had enough. I'm burning it all to the ground. Maybe metaphorically, she chose literally. I get it. You try and you do so much for your ungrateful family. All you're trying to do is save their souls, and all they want to do is hump ghosts.
Hump this spirit that what good has he really done, y'all, other than make y'all rich? Like, what has he done really? Y'all lives get cut short. Is it worth it? No, apparently it isn't. But they're not seeing that. They're just seeing
and it's also because they're reaping the benefits. Like it's one woman that has to make the sacrifice every time for everybody else to for everybody else to reap these rewards. It's one woman that has to be bound and beholden to this centuries old predator. Like,
and Cortland was saying that he's their servant, but like, is he really? Is he really though? Is that what you want to think? Because he still has an agenda. There's a reason why he is sticking around for this family. He still has an agenda, and y'all may think you know what it is, but do we really know?
Yeah.
I mean, the book readers know, but those of us that are watching the show don't know. So, and they did mention. Okay, so for the record, I finally went on Fandom Wiki. Thank you, shout out to them, because I had to remember what happened in this trilogy. I was like, oh yeah, okay. I was in the same vein, but it was like coming back to me, and now we know for sure that Cyprian is a combination of two characters, and yeah, it's going to go in the direction that we think it's going to go. But they're doing they changed the way that it happens versus in the books, and I don't know how I feel about that, but I think this is a new take on it in a sense. It's kind of like you're seeing them fall for each other versus them already involved, if that makes sense. So that's always an interesting dynamic when you're doing a show like this, especially if you change that dynamic to a relationship, and the connection, and how deep that connection can go. But with the family, I'm wondering if Tessa is someone that we technically meet later in books 2 and 3. Just based on some events that happen. I'm wondering if she's taking the place of another character. They just changed the name. But book theories, let me know. Book readers, let me know what you think in the comments. And they did mention a couple of characters that are in the books, Mary Beth and Julian. So I'm wondering if we are going to get a flashback, since they're apparently dead here. They're not.
They're not with us.
Alive. So I'm just wondering if we're going to get a flashback. We're going to probably have to, considering what we eventually learn down the road. So that'll be an interesting twist too, because I'm wondering if they're going to introduce a dynamic that I feel like has been on some shows already about the Mayfairs. So you kind of got a hint of it already, because Latcher just be hitting any and everybody in that family. So I'm like, what else have y'all been doing in that family? I mean, how close are y'all really?
Oh, do we have a Lannister situation?
Or a Targaryen situation?
Okay. I mean, yeah, both those families were really, really about keeping it in the family. We're going to stay blonde here no matter what. So
yeah, so I'm just wondering if they're going to introduce that dynamic to it. I mean, they're probably going to have to, because especially they do flashbacks. But I do think it's interesting that the flashbacks are kind of like giving us an idea of what's going to happen in the episode. Because this one, it started with them like grieving, and then you get the funeral and the repast and all that good stuff, and how people process grief. And then I think last week's episode, we get that sense of it's not about healing, like you said. It's also about death, and we have Rowan kind of like dealing with the fact that she is a healer, but she's also killing people, and where does that reconcile? Where does that fit in everything? So I do think, and then with the hand job, Lasher being creepy. So it's really
Everything's connected.
everything's
Oh,
connected here.
well, we did see this episode, Rowan trying to use her gift to not kill anything. Like there's a little lizard on the window, and I'm like, not the lizard. Girl, are you about to try to kill this lizard?
Considering how I think that's when your lizard was like, let me roll up here in the background real quick.
Just
I ain't
going
pissed,
crazy on the
ma'am.
walls. Like, I know what's about to happen here, but we find out she's not trying to kill the lizard, but she is like using her gift of vision to like just see its heart and the inner workings of its body. So
Yeah,
hopefully we can use that and cauterize this nasty injury that Sips has gotten trying to protect her.
hey, but I think she can use her regular training for that too. So either way, I think he'll be okay. Hopefully, because black folk need to win in this show. So
Just one. Just my gosh. Is there melanin? Take them out. Like,
it's kind of like when you because of course the characters that are involved are, I think, Caucasian in the book. So when you do cast someone that's black and you're rooting for them automatically, at least for us, at least for me, it's kind of like, why are you making that change? Like, what?
this is where you choose to pivot. Okay, cool.
As long, yeah, if you keep the same trajectory of these characters, can you just keep that trajectory, please? That's why we like them in the first place. Can we keep that trajectory? Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be some stuff in the pipeline. Now that it's coming back to me, I'm like, oh, that happened. Oh wow. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see.
But also how they're going to change it. Again, I just don't know what dynamics they're going to leave out and what they're going to leave in. But they may be hinting at stuff down the line. So this episode, if Carlotta just, especially that last half, Carlotta wasn't for it.
Wow, all the way out. My gosh,
she kirked all the way. She was already kirking out. Like the fact that she was like, "Oh, Deirdre was so sick." No, she wasn't. You made her sick.
You were drugging her. You
were drugging her.
See, you're a doctor. You're independent. Like,
and then she was glad that she gave her away because she was hoping that, first off, she would stay away, but if she came back, she would have a different experience, so she could resist Lasher. But that ain't work no way. Like, you're failing at every turn. Just give it up, sweetie. Just roll along with it. You did the best you could at this point. Just let it go. Just live the rest of your life and just say F the family at this point, because you did what you had to do, even though it wasn't great, but I feel like you were trying to save the family and it doesn't want to save itself. So just, just say, you know what? Y'all do what y'all want to do.
I mean, also, like, the dark side has sprinkles. Carlotta's side is offering unseasoned broccoli. Like, you need better incentives for people to stick on the side of righteousness. Like, put some cheese sauce on the broccoli. Promise ice cream for dessert, something. Like, you gave her a rosary, which is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they are dangling like this full ruby garnet situation that is gorgeous. Like, like this dangling in front of her face. He's tempting these women with jewelry because materialism, but
no, yeah, he's also tempting them with good sex. And unfortunately, Carlotta, we can't be chased. That ain't gonna work. Sorry.
Yeah, like,
yeah, I can't. If I'm gonna at least get married, I can't be a virgin my entire life. I can't be not experiencing nothing. So That's not appealing to me. I can't become a nun.
Yeah,
That's not.
you gotta loosen up the reins a little bit, Carlotta. Things could have been so much different if she hadn't held on so tight and kept everything so strict. Like, just a little lighter, a little more fun, a little more understanding.
Well, I also think by keeping her isolated, that didn't help matters. That just, of course, he was there already in the house. So
Right.
what made you think her being kept in the house was going to do anything? Or just her forcing her to go to school and come right back and have no life, really?
Yeah.
How was that going to help? It
did
didn't.
not. It did not.
Guess what? As soon as Cortland offered fun, she took it. She got pregnant, and here we are.
Maybe it's because the sister was such a wild child. Like, her sister was a wild child, and she was like, so they just let her run amok and do whatever she wanted to do. So we need structure and discipline for this kid, and that's what will keep Lasher out of her life. And that also did not work.
Nope. Well, we'll see what happens next week. Definitely like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you think of the episode. My book readers, are you liking the show? Like, I know there are some changes y'all may not be cool with. So let me know in the comments, politely, of course, or with respect. Don't go off completely off. But just let us know, like, do you like the changes that have been made so far? Are you trying to be like a wait and see kind of a thing? And if you do like the changes, like what changes do you like? What do you like about the show? So just let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we will hit you up next time. Bye.
Filing out the top of the I can see the skyline, 50-mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.